Thank you so much for your patience. We are going to reconvene open session. And so we'll start with our land acknowledgement. We recognize that the Mount Diablo Unified School District sits on the territory of the Confederated Villages of the Lishan, the ancestral and unceded land of the Bamiwak and Northern Yokut, the successors of the sovereign Brona Band of Contra Costa County. As members of the MDUSD community, it is vitally important that we not only recognize the history on the land on which we learn, but also we recognize that the land we inhabit and learn on is the ancestral land of these people who are alive and flourishing members of MDUSD and broader Bay Area communities today. You may stand for the pledge. Okay. So we move to 6.3, the review and potential approval of minutes for regular board meeting held September 11th, 2024.
I make a motion to approve the minutes as presented for the regular board meeting held on September 11th, 2024.
Second.
Motion by trustee Mason and a second by trustee Mayo. Trustee Ochoa, how do you vote?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0 with concurrence from our student board member. So we move to 6.4, review and potential approval of the agenda. Will there be any changes tonight?
No changes, Madam President.
Madam President, I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion by trustee Cowan and a second by trustee Nzewi. Trustee Ochoa, how do you vote?
Yes.
That motion passes 5-0 with concurrence from our student board member. So we move to the report out of action taken in closed session for 7.1 negotiations. The board may discuss negotiations or provide direction to its representatives regarding represented employees, Government Code Section 54957.6. The board received information. For 7.2, discipline dismissal, release or reassignment of public employee, Government Code Section 54957B1. The board received information. For item 7.3, public employee performance evaluation, superintendent pursuant to Government Code 54957. We weren't able to get to this item during closed session, and so we will reconvene a closed session after this open session, and then we will report out on that item. And then for 7.4, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, the board met in closed session with a legal counsel to discuss a matter of existing litigation pursuant to Government Code 54956.9, and by a vote of 5-0 in the matter of California School Employees Association versus Mount Diablo Unified School District, Alameda Superior Court, case number 22 CV005456. The board approved a settlement up to the stipulated amount. And then for 7.5, conference with legal counsel regarding anticipated litigation, the board received information and provided direction. For 7.6, liability claims, Government Code 54956.95. We didn't get to 7.6. Okay, we will get to that. We'll do that in our second closed session. And then 7.6. Yeah. Okay, great. And so we move to public comment, or did I miss? Okay. Okay. Do we have any, so this is the time when the board may address, the public may address the board regarding any item that's not on the agenda, and public comment will also be allowed in each specific agenda item prior to board action thereon. looks like we have four speakers this evening. We can do the full 3 minutes. And so our first speaker is Francisco Garcia.
Can you guys hear me? Awesome. Well, thank you for having me here tonight. My name is Francisco Garcia, and I'm here to talk about the lack of an instrumental band program at Silverwood Elementary School. Numerous studies have shown that participation in band, and not just vocal music programs like we have now, increase students' academic success. Students who have the opportunity to participate in band have shown increased academic achievement in math, science, and English courses. And as a high school science teacher for the past 12 years, I can confirm that my students who are in band or have participated in band programs are better prepared and generally score higher than students who did not have the opportunity to. Music programs are not a luxury for the rich. They are a necessity for all of our students. We at Silverwood Elementary School were promised at the end of last school year an opportunity for our kids to participate in instrumental band. When the new school year started, we were all patiently waiting for information regarding our band program. On August 16th, 2024, we received an email from Miss Karen Ashford, a band teacher at another elementary school, that said Silverwood was still looking to hire a new band teacher. As of today, we are sitting here over a month later with still no answers. So I started digging. Can you tell me why 25 of the 30 elementary schools in our district have a band teacher, but Silverwood, Cambridge, Ignacio Valley, Mountain View, and Sequoia are left out? What makes our kids less important than the kids that go to the other 25 elementary schools? Is this a funding issue? Do we have a district that is too cheap to attract competent band teachers? Are the neighboring school districts of Brentwood, Benicia, and San Ramon paying more? Are we unable to attract a teacher because we have a school board that is being too cheap? Being a teacher, I understand how hiring at a school district works. The district can only interview candidates who apply, and candidates are not coming because we are not offering them a better opportunity than what they have elsewhere. This is an equity problem for you guys at this point. Our children deserve the same opportunities as others are afforded in this district. Stop being cheap, attract a talented band teacher for our children by offering them a competitive salary or outsource help. Come up with different solutions for our kids because all of the kids in the district deserve the same opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you. Christine Botting.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm a seasoned kindergarten teacher, taught for 10, took 10 off, had my kids, came back. I'm in it to win it. I'm in it to make you guys proud and be a leader within our district. In my 21 years in kindergarten, I've never experienced so much pressure. And the fact that I work over at Valhalla Elementary School with some seasoned teachers, along with other seasoned teachers that I've worked with for the last 21/11 years in MDUSD, things are really coming down our necks. And what I wanted to show you guys is that over here, you guys have decided that our kindergarten assessment calendar for the district has added M class. We're supposed to assess these, our 27 5-year-olds. We're supposed to assess them 3 times a year with a brand new assessment. This assessment program does not align with our kindergarten program. Every check mark you see here is covered by ESGI. It's a program that you guys pay for, we use. I've been using it since 2016. It works out great. It's very simple. Our 5-year-olds can see it. They can understand it. It's not timed. We get these amazing parent letters. It puts kids in groups for us. It gives flashcards, name work, anything that we need to communicate with parents. It's an amazing tool, and we thank you for that. What I'm asking is take M class off for kindergarten We do not need it. There's 12 added assessments, and we're doing the same exact assessments already. We're already doing word reading, letter sounds. So it's kind of like you guys are giving us like a whole nother assessment program. This is not a kindergarten assessment. I mean, our kids, they don't even know left to right yet. We're still on green dot go, red dot end. How many words are in a sentence? What are in between words? And we're supposed to sit there without any help and ask these students, okay, left to right, point, tell us the names of these letters. On top of, use your use the iMessage. Oh, you don't do that. You have to go to the bathroom. Did he take your book? And the papers are falling all over the place. It's just not an appropriate assessment program. And we want to do our job. We want to please you. We want to do what we're supposed to do on the district calendar. But for kindergarten, it's not going to work. And the assessments are long and they're over our report card. Like we just don't, it's not needed in kinder. I've had a couple colleagues in tears. The training was horrific. It was so fast. We were not prepared. We didn't have a kit, nothing. So please, please take it off the calendar for kinder.
Thank you.
Can I have your note? Excuse me. Can I have the note?
Can I just ask a question?
Just a big note.
We can ask.
It's fine.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you. And if
Thank you.
wanna look
No,
at
that's all. No, that's all. I'm good. Thank you. I appreciate it. We can't question it.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. No, it's good. You're good. Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Okay, our next speaker is Edie Fairbanks.
Okay, good.
Don't sit down, don't get comfortable. Good evening, board. Good evening. Welcome. Good evening, Dr. Clark. I'm Edie Fairbanks. I'm a TK teacher at Valhalla Elementary. Getting quite a few of us tonight. I'm actually here to say thank you. You folks last meeting reapproved ESGI. I'm a fan. I've been teaching forever, like in the last century. A lot of years in the littles rooms. My TKers are 4 years old. It literally flashes the letter A up on the board. It's a one-on-one test. They stand right next to me. And if for some reason I have to go take care of somebody who's had a meltdown, I can pause that test. It is not timed. My colleague just referred to the new test that has come out. By the way, that is a 1-minute test that she explained to you. Each of those tests is timed at 1 minute. It's not fair, but that's the M class. I'm totally happy with ESGI. It would have been nice to have it up and running at the beginning of August when the time window was there, and we ran out of time on the 30th because thank goodness for the person at the district. Whoever tech guru fixed it, fantastic. But it was after the 3-day weekend that we were able finally to jump on it. So consequently, it was a little shaky because those conferences came up pretty quick after that. So not a lot of time for analysis. I've analyzed it now that I've had a little bit of time with it. I'm able to do small groupings. The reports that come out are amazing. The parent reports, the scanning reports that come out that I'm able to literally group my kids digitally. I don't have to sit there with a calculator anymore and go, okay, he's got how many out of the 52 letters? Okay. And then figure out what's their percentile and who are my highs, my mediums, and my challenged. So I want you to reaffirm it every single year. I've enjoyed using the program, and I thank you greatly for spending the money for our littlest, our TKs and our Ks who use that program all the time. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Judith Richards.
Dear trustees, Dr. Clark, student trustee, I guess it's Valhalla night of it,
That's all right.
communication. Every year or so, the district comes out with new activities and programs that they give to the teachers, telling us to squeeze it into our school day, as if we have extra time that we don't have filled. It is so common that my colleagues and I have come up for a word for that, unicorn time, the mythical extra time that people think we have in our daily schedule. We don't have extra time. Quite the contrary, we are constantly trying to stuff everything we already have into our very limited minutes. This year, however, the district has outdone itself. Kindergarten, first grade, and second grade teachers are reaching their breaking point stressing. In the first month of school, we were given 5 different things to add into our school day. Now, I want to be perfectly clear. Each one of these 5 are really good ideas, good, solid things. I'm not dissing any of them. They're all good individually. It's the time element that gets us. The first one you heard was in-class testing, and actually this is a really good reading assessment. Gives us lots of information, especially with phonics and the things that go with science of reading now. But it takes a lot of time, one-on-one testing. And second grade, and I teach second grade, this is my 19th year. It took me about 15 minutes to assess each student. They can get up to 5 tests, depending on how they're scoring. And it has to be done one-on-one, and it has to be done kind of quietly because we have to hear if they are making each phonemic sound. So I have 30 students. So I'm going to do the math for you. That's 7.5 hours of testing time I have to find magically in that unicorn time. Thank goodness our principal heard our pleas and she gave us a half-day sub. That was great. We were so grateful. That was 4.5 more. It was 4 more hours we had to find. And we're going to be testing 2 more times. We need to find room for the 7.5 hours. I encourage you to let us have full day subs so that we can thoroughly test the kids and know that it's accurate. So that was number 1. Number 2, we went to the science of reading training. Again, great information. And they proposed, oh, I'm already on orange, a thing called zip around stations. Our math, at our last staff meeting, our teachers who went to that came back and said, oh, here's this program that we've done before. We need you to do it once a week for the next 4 weeks. Wonderful voters have given us more arts money. So we have an art teacher and garden. That's more time we have to find. And again, we were told, coming back from a committee, that we want to make a more inclusive environment for our school. So we're going to have buddy classes once a month, little class with big class. Again, another time commitment. We just don't have that much time.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you. Because when those things come,
Excuse me, can you give me your list?
You can also email it to us.
I'll look into it. Thank you. Thank you. I will look into this. Thank you. Thank you.
and we have to do those things.
Thank you.
Okay, so we move on to communications. Do we have a speaker tonight?
Linda, take it. Come on up, Linda. Yeah.
Hi, Linda, welcome.
Good evening, trustees, Dr. Clark, members of the audience. I am here again to give you my report since the last session. There are still some unanswered adverse working condition forms that have not been addressed. My members are still confused to why a teacher cannot control their classroom or their workspace thermostats, as our students have complained of not being able to concentrate when it is too hot in their classroom. After several emails, I will be meeting with the director of M&O to discuss my concerns regarding the HVAC systems. We might have a meeting scheduled for next week. I have also requested an update on the renovations and the purchase of new furniture for classrooms and workspaces. What I have heard from my members is that items were purchased, what I have heard that items were purchased without consulting the teachers, but instead that a decision was made because a specific item was cute. Items need to be decided based on the needs of our students and the grade level. One size does not fit all. Dr. Clark, I did check my emails, and I have yet to been invited to or CC'd on any district-wide trainings. As a longtime learner, I would like to see what my members are trained so that when I get a phone call, I can understand what they are sharing with me so that I can help them with their question. With $200 million in reserve, by the way, that's my new favorite number, in reserves, we need to be focusing on programs and educators that would benefit our students and those who support them. Again, I would be very happy to sit down with any of you to discuss any of these items as we continue to have open communications. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we move to 10.0 recognitions and resolutions. Dr. Clark?
All right, we have several resolutions this evening. And again, I just these resolutions really represent the commitment from this board to issues that are going on in our society and that make their way into our schools. So the first one that we would like to present to the board is Resolution 24/25-17, which is Dyslexia Awareness Month, October 2024. Whereas dyslexia is a disorder in one or more of the basic neurobiological processes involved in understanding or in using language, spoken or written, that may have manifested itself in the imperfect ability to listen, think, speak, read, write, and spell. And now therefore be it resolved that the Mount Diablo Unified School District Governing Board recognizes that dyslexia has significant educational implications that must be addressed and proclaims a commitment to provide every single student with evidence-based instruction they need to achieve literacy and to ensure staff have the knowledge, support, and tools necessary for identification and intervention for students at risk of dyslexia, and designates October 2024 as Dyslexia Awareness Month. I think this comes right at the appropriate time as what we just heard about some of the early literacy assessments and techniques. So, Madam President, this item is now in the hands of the board.
Madam President, I move to approve Resolution 24/25-17 in recognition of Dyslexia Awareness Month.
Second.
Motion by trustee Count and the second by trustee Nzewi. Trustee Ochoa, how do you vote?
Yes.
The motion passes 5-0
And
with
then
concurrence from our student board member.
Thank
And then if I can add just a brief comment, I just want to say thank you to our dyslexia subcommittee of our CAC, our Community Advisory Committee. Really excited about the upcoming event, the Experience Dyslexia Simulation that's happening on Thursday, October 3rd at 6 p.m. at Willow Creek Center. For those of you who are interested, it's on the mdusd.org website under the Community Advisory Committee to register ahead of time for the event. What I'm hearing is that it's just an incredible opportunity to experience, especially if you are a parent of a student with dyslexia or something like that, to be able to really get a sense of what it feels like to be experiencing dyslexia. So thank you.
Great, thank you. You guys took action, right? Next, we have Resolution 24/25-18, Disability Awareness Month, October 2024. Whereas a disability is part of being human, and almost everyone will temporarily or permanently experience disability at some point in their lives. And be it resolved that MDUSD recognizes October as Disability Awareness and History Month across the district in support of educating youth with and without disabilities on many contributions individuals with disabilities have made throughout U.S. history. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Education of the Mount Diablo Unified School District that all schools in the district be strongly encouraged to teach about and celebrate disability awareness during October 2024 and throughout the year. Madam President, this item is now in the hands of the board.
I move that we approve Resolution 24/25-18, Disability Awareness Month.
Second.
Motion by trustee Nzewi and a second by trustee Mayo. Trustee Ochoa, how do you vote?
Yes.
The motion passes 5-0 with concurrence from our student board member.
Great. Next, we have Resolution 24/25-19 in recognition of Indigenous Peoples Day. Whereas the Mount Diablo Unified School District's Governing Board formally recognizes October 14th, 2024 as Indigenous Peoples Day to celebrate and honor the invaluable contributions and resilience of Indigenous peoples. And now therefore be it resolved that the Governing Board of the Mount Diablo Unified School District, fully endorsing the significance and meaning of California Governor Newsom's proclamation, hereby recognizes October 14th, 2024 as Indigenous Peoples Day. Madam President, this item is now in the hands of the board.
Madam President, I move the board approve Resolution 24/25-19 in recognition of Indigenous Peoples Day.
Second. Motion by trustee Mayo and a second by trustee Cowan. Trustee Ochoa, how do you vote?
Yes.
The motion passes 5-0 with concurrence from our student board member.
All right, we have Resolution 24/25-20, Anti-Bullying Awareness Month, October 2024. Glad that we're getting these done before October, so thank you, board. Whereas the Mount Diablo Unified School District's Local Control Accountability Plan, LCAP, goals indicates all students will receive a high-quality education in a safe and welcoming environment. And now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Mount Diablo Unified School District declares October as Anti-Bullying Awareness Month, and the superintendent and other appropriate staff will initiate anti-bullying activities at all schools among all students to be planned, coordinated, and implemented by the individual school site students and staff. Madam President, this item is now in the hands of the board.
Madam President, I move to approve Resolution 22/25-20, Anti-Bullying Awareness Month.
Second.
Motion by trustee Mason and a second by trustee Mayo. Trustee Ochoa, how do you vote?
Yes.
The motion passes 5-0 with concurrence from our student board member.
Thank you. Next, we have Resolution 24/25-21, recognizing Filipino American History Month, whereas it is necessary to instill in our youth the importance of education, history, and self-determination in creating eminent role models, in establishing a proud cultural identity, and producing exceptional citizens of this nation. And now therefore be it resolved that the Governing Board of the Mount Diablo Unified School District proclaims October as Filipino American History Month, and that all educational sites are encouraged to commemorate this occasion accordingly with appropriate instructional materials, discussions, presentations, and projects. Madam President, this item is now in the hands of the board.
I move to approve Resolution 24/25-21, proclaiming October as Filipino American History Month.
Second.
The motion by trustee Nzewi and a second by trustee Cowan. Trustee Ochoa, how do you vote?
Yes.
The motion passes 5-0 with concurrence from our student board member.
Great, thank you. Next, we have Resolution 24/25-22, and we're recognizing October as Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender, Queer, Questioning, LGBTQ History Month. Whereas lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, questioning Americans have made and continue to make lasting contributions to strengthen the fabric of American society. And whereas a knowledge of LGBTQ history enables LGBTQ students, families, and educators to be supported to uphold affirmative lives with dignity and respect. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Mount Diablo Unified School District Board of Education recognizes and supports October as Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender, and Queer Questioning History Month. Madam President, this item is now in the hands of the board.
Madam President, I move to approve Resolution 2425-22, recognizing October as Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender, Queer Questioning History Month.
Second.
Motion by trustee Count and a second by trustee Mayo. Trustee Ochoa, how do you vote?
Yes.
And just to comment on that one as well, I think this in this day and age when there are so many efforts for book banning, this is book banning awareness week, I believe, and efforts to erase real people's lives and history. I'm really proud of our board and our district for not only passing this resolution, but making it real in terms of what students are able to learn in the classroom and be recognized.
Absolutely. The motion passes 5-0 with concurrence from our student board member.
All right, just a couple more, folks. Resolution 24/25-23, California Week of the School Administrator, which is October 13th through the 19th. Whereas approximately 17,000 certificated and classified school administrators are employed in the public schools of the great state of California. Whereas school leaders depend on a network of support from school communities, fellow administrators, teachers, parents, students, business, community members, board trustees, colleges and universities, community and faith-based organizations, elected officials, and district and county staff and resources to promote ongoing student achievement and school success. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Mount Diablo Unified School District joins with the great state of California Department of Education, declaring October 13th through the 19th, 2024 as the week of the school administrator, and commends the many outstanding contributions and services provided by the administrative teams in our public schools. Madam President, this item is now in the hands of the board.
I move to approve Resolution 2425-23, recognizing October 13th through 19th, 2024 as California Week of the School Administrator.
Second.
Motion by trustee Nzewi and a second by trustee Mayo. Trustee Ochoa, how do you vote? The motion passes 5-0 with concurrence from our student board member.
Great. We have Resolution 24/25-24, celebrating National School Lunch Week. Whereas in 1946, then President Harry Truman signed the National School Lunch Act. Whereas on October 9th, 1962, Congress, by joint resolution, designated the week beginning the second Sunday in October each year as National School Lunch Week. And whereas approximately 30 million students nationwide are served daily meals through the National School Lunch Program. And whereas the Mount Diablo Unified School District serves over 12,000 lunches daily and almost 2,200,000 lunches annually. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Mount Diablo Unified School District Board of Education that it celebrate National School Lunch Week from October 14th to the 18th. Madam President, this item is now in the hands of the board.
Madam President, I move to approve resolution in support of National School Week 2024.
Second.
A motion by trustee Mason and a second by trustee Mayo. Trustee Ochoa, how do you vote?
Yes.
And a big thank you to all of our food service workers out there, and also to the state of California for fully funding this effort that does not exist in all states. Unfortunately, it would be wonderful for our whole country to be able to feed all of our kids, as we've seen work very effectively.
Yes.
I
And
just want to thank our food service staff for serving over 2 million meals a year. That is incredible, and I'm so thankful that our students receive that in this district. Okay, this last resolution is a little different. This is Resolution 2425-25, and this is a resolution in support of Proposition 2, which is the kindergarten through grade 12 schools and local community college public education facilities modernization, repair, and safety bond act of 2024. So whereas public school systems serve 5.8 million students in approximately 10,500 schools across the state. And whereas funding for the state school facilities program is exhausted, leaving no system of support for local educational agencies seeking to reinvigorate or improve old facilities or to build new ones. So now, therefore, be it resolved that the governing board of the Mount Diablo Unified School District supports Proposition 2, the kindergartens through grade 12 schools and local community college public education facilities modernization, repair, and safety bond act of 2024 to provide much needed funding for school modernizations and new construction to provide students with facilities that promote academic achievement, well-being, and preparation for college, career, and civic life. Madam President, I now leave this in the hands of the board.
Madam President, just for the record, I'm going to abstain because I've been busy and I haven't read any of my propositions and stuff yet. So until I do, I don't really know how I'm going to vote.
Madam President, I move the board approve Resolution 2425-25 in support of Proposition 2, the kindergarten through grade 12 and local community college public education facilities modernization, repair, and safety bond act of 2024.
Second.
The motion by trustee Mayo and a second by trustee Cound. Trustee Ochoa, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay, so that motion passes for one abstention and concurrence from our student board member.
Thank you, board.
Great.
Thank you, trustee Mayo.
So, Madam President, we now have item 11.1, and we are going to have a presentation that is going to highlight our International Baccalaureate presentation and progress report for Monty Gardens Elementary, Sequoia Elementary, Oak Grove Middle School, and Ignacio Valley High School. I would like to call Kelly Hoover to the podium to present this presentation.
I brought friends. Good evening, board members. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Dr. Clark, for having us. Tonight, we are here to present some updates regarding our District International Baccalaureate School programs. My name is Kelly Hoover, and I am Sequoia and Monty Gardens IB coordinator, and I will be providing district support to the 4 IB sites this year. Our current status for our IB sites are that Sequoia Elementary, Oak Grove Middle, and Ignacio Valley High School are all IB World schools, with Monty Gardens currently as a candidate school with hopes of a spring authorization visit. Here is our current principals and IB coordinators by site who you'll be hearing from tonight. First up is Bess Enzio from Monty Gardens.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having us. We're really excited at Monty Gardens. We are jumping in this year. This is our big year. This is our authorization year. So the big excitement for Kelly and I this year is that our concierge is open, which means we've done all of the work and now it's uploading everything to IB and then having them approve us for an authorization visit. So it's a very big year. We were just meeting right before this as we're preparing for our visit hopefully in the spring. We also started our Spanish program this year. So our additional language, our community voted on last year, and we are implementing Spanish, and we're using Clap to Clap Spanish. And so that's been a really exciting program for our students. They're very excited this year. We've also been doing instructional rounds. We've been with Sequoia, we went to an IB conference over the summer with our school counselors, which has been really powerful for them to take a piece, because a big part of IB is really supporting our social emotional learning. This year, we've started our big focus this year, because we updated our school mission, is really to work on inclusion and international mindedness. So this year, last Friday, didn't have time for the pictures to get up there in time for you, but we had our International Food Fest potluck. We had about 150 families attend. I know it'll be in the Friday letter tomorrow to see all the pictures, but it was wonderful for students and families to join us for that. We also have started several lunchtime activities where we're working on incorporating that into our lunchtime. So we did a Hispanic Heritage Month activity last week with our new VAPA art specialists, which was really exciting. Tomorrow, we even have our young audiences coming and bringing different programs to our school. Tomorrow's folk dances from Mexico. So we're really excited to be incorporating our international mindedness through our curriculum. We're also doing just other fun activities like International Bike and Walk to School Day. So we're really excited about supporting the IB and really lifting off. Our teachers have been working really hard on their transdisciplinary units. And so we're finishing up those finishing touches. And then after each unit, they have a half-day reflection day to reflect on their teaching and on student work. So it's a really exciting time at Monty Gardens. So thank you for having us, and we'll stay tuned. We'll keep you posted on what authorization is so you can come visit. Thank you.
Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Clark, and our student trustee. Thank you for having us here tonight. I'm Becky Bachikis. I'm the proud principal of Sequoia Elementary, and I'm going to tell you just a little bit about what we've been up to. Can we have the next slide, please? Oh, there's a clicker. Okay, sorry. So we've been working on the same 4 goals in the last 2 years that I've been here, and we have different actions every year, kind of like the LCAP. So the goal that's there, continue to expand the use of inquiry and hands-on practice, is related to our LCAP goal number 1 about a quality education for all students. Some of the pictures, I'm just going to talk through the pictures. You guys can read the words, right? So on the top there, if we go around clockwise, you'll see our county superintendent, Lynn Mackey, and myself, along with our 5th grade, one of our 5th grade teachers, and a team of students who worked together for their exhibition project. And this project was about inflation, which was super exciting. The students did a fantastic job of researching different lines of inquiry surrounding inflation and presenting to a group about that complex topic. And I thought they just did such a fantastic job, something that a lot of the grown-ups appreciated learning about. Then we have a picture of some of our students engaging in some of the building thinking classroom practices and math that everyone in the district has been working on. And then a very great picture from our science fair of one of our 5th graders who was synthesizing protein from milk, casein protein. Down at the bottom is one of my favorite pictures of some of our 5th graders last year working through a task-based math program project, which was about how to model the area of a bathroom floor and the cost of tile. I just love that picture of them thinking so hard there. Next on there is a list of the different areas that from the CASP assessment. One of the things we've been working on is looking at the different areas of math and focusing on what particular target areas we need to improve on. And so that's just an example from 3rd grade that shows that we need to work on area, which is great. So we'll come up with some projects for that. And then there's a picture of me with my 2 math ILT instructional leadership team members in my office after we had done instructional rounds at our school, looking at data and talking about what we saw. Our second goal is to expand international mindedness in the core curriculum. And again, I'll talk you through the picture. So in the first picture, you'll see a group of 5th grade students who are receiving a certificate for their completion of the Mandarin program that we have. Mandarin is our world language. And next, we have one of our beautiful 5th grade students who was sharing her cultural heritage at our multicultural event in the spring. The next section of pictures are from each of our classrooms has a connection with a school in another country. And these students are from Lesotho in Africa. And what they are showing is we actually were able to send some books and other things to them.
And then they wrote us a thank you note and included a picture of them holding up some fun little discs that they like to play with at our school and now also at the school in Lesotho, as well as a sample letter that was written to one of our students, to Stefano, from a student in Lesotho. And finally, on the bottom is one of the second grade classes celebrating Lunar New Year last year. Our third goal is to create optimal support for social emotional wellness in each and every student. And one thing that we're doing this year, a couple things that are new and some that are existing and continuing. There's an example there of a one-pager that we created for every grade level. The grade level teams met and created these to really clarify and hand out at back to school night what the expectations were for each grade level. So that's just one, but there's one for every grade. And so giving some consistency and transparency to what are the expectations for each grade level. The photograph at the top right is a picture of one of our students receiving a learner profile award. So there are 10 attributes of the learner profile in IB, and every month we celebrate one. So this year we're starting a new recognition program where the teachers, each of our 22 teachers, will identify a student who exemplifies that trait. And then we have them do a self-reflection. And then I read that and present the award. And we just had our first one about caring, and it was fantastic. Same thing in the bottom. The other picture is an infographic that we created to talk about our referral process for providing support, academic, behavioral, or social emotional, and just explains the steps that teachers can take in order to refer a student to our care team for further support. And also at the bottom there is 3 of our 5th grade students from last year who received awards at the Black Excellence Awards, the district awards. And fourth is to create inviting and purposeful spaces on campus. Our campus is one of those campuses that would really benefit from some modernization. And we've done the things that we can do on the surface. So last year we created murals, the children created murals along with our garden educator, focusing on each of the learner profile traits, and 4 of them are pictured there. So principled, reflective, thinker, and risk taker. And then there is a schematic for some refinement and addition to our playground, which our PFC is funding along with some funds from the district to replace the slides and roofs of the existing structure. So we're really excited to do the things that we can do to make our space even better. So thank you for having me.
Good evening, members of the board, Superintendent Dr. Clark. My name is Alejandro Ramos, principal of Oak Grove Middle School. With me here tonight is our program specialist / IB coordinator, and I'll have her provide the update. Sheila Casas.
Thank you, Dr. Ramos. Good evening, board. Here at Oak Grove Middle School, we are in our first year post-authorization, so we're really proud of all the work that our staff has done last year. And now it's just about keeping that momentum up and getting the staff inspired and excited to keep going and digging deeper. So we are a couple of updates. We're developing a rubric grading system and plan to keep developing staff training and collaboration opportunities for interdisciplinary learning, which began last year. We're working closely with the science department to integrate design into the curriculum for this school year. We're doing that in several different ways based on grade levels. So one way is working with the Marine Mammal Center's Ocean Ambassadors program to integrate a year-long design project into the 6th grade students' science curriculum. We're also working with a consultant from the Stanford Design School's K-12 Design Lab to collaborate on staff development and possible staff enrichment opportunities this year, looking into things like helping our 8th grade staff members support and empower our 8th graders to work on their community projects and really come up with some meaningful, relevant ways to impact their community in a positive way. We're expanding our offerings for community involvement and celebration with events like the twice yearly IB Learners of the Month celebration and Multicultural Festival in the spring. So just like the elementary schools, we do something similar with the IB learner profile traits, mapping one onto every month. And then we actually have staff nominate several students every week, and the staff comments are read aloud over the PA, so everyone in the community gets to hear that meaningful reflections that our staff has made upon those students in their demonstration of the IB learner profile traits. And then at the end of the month, we select one of each grade level to be that IB learner of the month. So twice a year, those students will get celebrated. We are focusing on transforming our campus to reflect our IB identity and values. I love those murals that we saw. We are starting with the recent establishment of our art and mural club. We'll be hosting a little contest for student designs of those IB learner profile traits and just IB centered designs coming hopefully from the creativity of our student body. And then collaborating with YV High School to vertically align our programs, ensure students are prepared for next steps after Oak Grove. And I think there's just a little snapshot of our weekly school publication that just highlights all of the different things that are done to highlight international mindedness in the student body. And I don't think it's on there for this one, but things like Hispanic Heritage Month, a lot of activities, and each Heritage Month having its own set of things that our counselors are supporting. So that's it.
Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you very much. And I think next, our former IB support administrator has some information to provide as well. Aline Lee, are you here?
Ladies and gentlemen, I actually, it came to my attention that there's some questions about YV's new program this year. So I'd actually like them to start off and then I can interject if that's all right with everyone on the board. And good evening, by the way. So without further ado, Ignacio Valley High School, come on down. Principal, head of school, Peter Crutchfield, and I will let them introduce themselves.
Good evening, Superintendent Dr. Clark and members of the board. My name is Peter Crutchfield, and I'm the very proud principal of Ignacio Valley High School. So we are excited to highlight the great work our school is doing through the IB program. So tonight we are joined by students and staff from Ignacio Valley High School. So at this time, I will turn it over to them so they can introduce themselves and share some of their experiences.
I just want to do an official handing over of the baton to our new, I'm going through withdrawals, I have to admit. But anyway, I want to officially hand the baton. I'm Carissa Weintraub. Welcome. Thank you for thank you for welcoming us. We're happy to be here. These two that are going to introduce themselves in just a moment have become the IB coordinators. As one of the new vice principals at the school, I'm still supporting them, of course. But they have just taken it and ran with IB, and they're amazing. And I'm so thrilled that they have agreed to kind of take the mantle of IB. So welcome.
Good evening, members of the board and Dr. Clark. My name is Julia Flanagan Schmidt. I'm the proud French teacher at Ignacio Valley High School, and I have been for, this is my 6th year. So I've had the chance to teach in the IB program, and I'm really excited to take the reins along with Tabitha and work as the IB coordinator now. Thank you.
Good evening, board members and Dr. Clark. My name is Tabitha Box, and I am a mathematics teacher teaching IB Math AA. This is my 3rd year at Ignacio Valley High School, and been teaching almost 2 decades. But I'm super excited about the International Baccalaureate program, and we have some students to share their experience with their program instead of reading. I hope later on you can take the time and read what we're doing with the program, but I would rather everything come from our students. At this time, I'm going to let them introduce themselves. Thank you. Good evening, board members. My name is Anaya Taylor. I am an 11th grade student in the full IB program at Ignacio Valley High School.
Good evening. My name is Lecky Lee, and I am a 12th grader at Ignacio Valley High School. So I am taking 4 IB classes currently, and by taking IB classes, I get to practice and sharpening my problem solving and critical thinking skills, which prepares me for my college and my future careers also.
I'm a full IB student, and as an IB student, I think it's more than just about what you learn and the skills that you gain. I think it's also about the experiences that are offered to you. So as an IB student, IB has taught me that there's so much more outside of my own small little world, besides where I was born, besides where I go to school, and besides my close friend group. IB has taught me that everybody has something to offer to a conversation. And even when we feel like we're not the smartest person in the room, it's okay because somebody else probably feels that way too. And that's why we have a community, so we can help each other.
So as you met our wonderful IB students, you can see that they are from all spans of student life, meaning that they are special ed, EL, general ed, on college and career pathways. They cover the whole span. And this year, thanks to the staff, truly, the teachers have collaborated all year to plan out IB Language and Lit for All. And so they are in those classes. Not only are the reach is to provide IB for all, but those students that are not in the program as of yet will be, specifically our SDC or special ed students. Their teacher is being trained and will incorporate the framework of the concepts of IB, Lang and Lit next year. She's working with the teachers right now. So that will be interjected in their dynamic English 3 class that they are currently taking for next year. So that's in the works. Of the 306 IB designated students, 19 of them are on full diploma track this year. So I can't wait to see their results and who is going to be a recipient of an IB diploma at the end of that year. It's a wonderful change from last year because of those students, as you met one this evening, he's in 4 IB classes, 3 or more. There are 108 of the 306 of them that are enrolled in IB courses. So that was a significant change. There were 80 students last year that were enrolled in 3 or more IB courses. So it's increasingly improving, and the popularity and rigor and love for IB is growing every year, right? Specifically courses. How are students doing in courses? They do range from, subject level to subject level. Currently in IB Lang Lit, the statistics are that 84% of the 31 students last year received a 4+ on their exams. That's stellar, right? Not as stellar as the Spanish program at Ignacio Valley. Both Spanish higher level and standard level year 1 courses, all 34 kids and 10 students respectively, all passed with 100% 4+. The 4+ is the equivalent of 3+ in AP, just so you know. It's a scale out of 7. So, and then of course there are some classes that need to, work with the students to pass their exams, at a higher rate. Math, for example, is one area that we're going to, dive deep into. So IB analysis and approaches, there are 14 kids that took the exams and 36% passed that exam. So overall, over 5 years, 450 exams taken. 88 students earned a 4 or plus, and 44% became IB diploma recipients. English language learners specifically, most are in the program. However, we are following California state standards with the programming and the Mount Diablo Master Plan when it comes to ELD 1 and ELD 2 students. ELD 3 students, it's a case-by-case basis, so it depends. There are some students that want to be in IB Langlit higher level year 1, and so their case managers, their EL coordinators are monitoring them closely so that they are successful. So it really depends on the student in terms of their coursework and their following, but they all want to be in IB. So ladies and gentlemen, I give you our International Baccalaureate program. They're thriving, they're celebrating, they are listening to former alumni coming back to events and sharing their experiences, creating flyers of what they can be in the future. So I am so excited to see this program grow, and I cannot wait to see it up its rigor and popularity throughout. So thank you. Thank you for your time, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good evening.
Oh, before you leave, I just wanted to say thank you so much for your presentation. I don't know if we lost the students as well, but really appreciate you coming and taking the time to share all of these wonderful things. I just want to say I love seeing the photos. I love the cultural festivals that are happening everywhere. The really interactive learning, the building thinking classrooms that were happening. Really excited about the Oak Grove Stanford Design School involvement. That's new and exciting. So I appreciate and would love to hear more about that as it goes along. And then the other one at Oak Grove was I noticed on there where you were talking about the day where everyone comes and wears their college shirts, that it said college shirts or trades union shirts. I really appreciate that, like inclusion of college and career. I thought that was really fantastic. And YV, congrats. I'm really excited about the growth, right? Because I feel like it had just started right before COVID hit, and kind of that, really slowed things down in a lot of ways. And so being able to see how many students are taking IB classes from so many different backgrounds, and then and that there has been an increase in the number of DP candidates as well, the degree project, the diploma, full diploma candidates. As a parent of a former diploma graduate, I'm excited to inform you that that student is now at Georgetown and in the School of Foreign Service, studying global affairs. So you were an inspiration. Well done. Thank you for that. And I know so many of the other graduates are doing incredible things out at Cal and UCLA and so many other places. So being able to share these opportunities with more and more students, we're really excited to be getting that word out further and wider across our district so that the program can really grow and thrive. The only one question that I had, because you answered so many questions in the data, thank you, is just when you, for each of your school campuses, have you been able to, like, when you walk around campus, does it feel global? Do you have like multilingual signage and flyers and like parent communications and stuff like that going on? I'd love to hear.
Well, our school, like every school in the district, is very happy to have Parent Square, where parents can set their own language of, how they receive the messages. So that's wonderful that they can, for messaging that we do like that. But we are actually in the process of purchasing signs in Mandarin to go along with our PBIS, MTSS signs that say like the hallway expectations and things like that. We're going to get those all printed also in Mandarin. So it will be, by literacy in action, I guess you could say. So.
I know. So this is, as anybody who's come to our campus, it is a work in progress for us, right? We have, I think, when we're there, like we walk around and we see all of the international there, right? We hear the different languages, we see the students, and we forget, it's easy for, at least for me to forget, like when visitors come to the campus, that they also need to see that signage as well, right? And that students need to sign it. Now, when you go into classrooms, there's a lot of signs in multiple languages. But in the classrooms, not necessarily in the outside when you come to look. So that's something that we have been working on and have been discussing. But the feeling of the school has definitely shifted from being, I know before we started IB, it was the feeling of there were groups of students that were there's one group here, one nationality here, one group here, and it's not like that anymore. The groups really feel like they are not groups anymore, that it's more of a student body come together. That's been my impression of what the difference between before IB and after IB. And I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you. And I loved the student who said that, it's okay to feel like you don't know everything that's going on. Like all of us feel that way to some degree. It's incredibly challenging curriculum, but it's so great that we are challenging our students and that they are taking those risks to be able to learn. So thank you.
Right, thank you for so much for a great presentation, and especially thank you for bringing students in. It's always really wonderful to hear from them on their educational opportunities. Okay, so we move to board member reports. I think last time, I started with Trustee Cowan last time, or maybe Trustee Ochoa. So Trustee Mason, do you have a report this evening?
A brief one. Let me see. I went to the African American Parent Advisory Meeting out in Bay Point, and they're kind of changing to be more like DLAC. So it's going to be interesting to see that evolve. I think more parents will feel more comfortable talking to the folks in their own community. I went to the Adult Ed on Constitution Day, even though I didn't know there was a Constitution Day until we went there. But Assemblyman Grayson was there and actually did a really good job, I thought, of making it entertaining but educational for all the adult ed students that were there. I went to the DLAC meeting, and they were talking about the importance of parent-teacher conferences and for parents to go prepared and have questions to ask their teachers. I went to coffee with the principal at Rio Vista. Again, I don't know what she's doing out there, but she's getting a lot of parent participation, which is really good to see. And they're very excited about the new school year and the new changes in their school. And then I went to the Parent Advisory Committee meeting last night, listened to Dr. Clark and our new Samantha there that was leading the meeting. And other than that, I was very busy with volunteering all day Saturday and part of last week, helping Federal Glover get ready for the Youth Summit that took place at Los Medonos. And there were a lot of kids there. I'm assuming some of them were ours, but I have to say for about 300, between 300 and 400 middle school and high school students, they were the most polite. We were handing out snack bags. It was always, thank you. Can I please have another one? I was very, very impressed with them. Our youth are doing well. We should be proud. That's it.
Thank you. Trustee Mayo, do you have a report this evening?
Yes, just a brief report. First of all, on Saturday, September 21st, it was Pleasant Hill Community Service Day, and I'd like to thank all the volunteers who turned out to support the service projects at our Pleasant Hill schools. Weeds were pulled, mulch was spread, gardens and flowers were planted, sidewalks were cleaned, curbs and playground maps were painted, and more. It's one of our great community service days in Pleasant Hill, and of course the turnout was great. I'll steal Trustee McCarron's thunder. She presented the Mount Diablo School Board report at the Special Ed CAC meeting on September 17th. The series, speaker series topic was on accommodations and modifications. And I think everyone in the room learned some of the variances and the offerings that are available. And many helpful tools were shared. So visit the Special Education CAC webpage to view the slide deck, and the tools will be linked on that slide deck. And I just want to say the November 5th ballot will be a lengthy one. The Diablo Valley League of Women Voters will discuss the pros and cons on all the propositions on November 26th. That's this Thursday, 4 to 5:30 p.m. on Zoom. And they will hold a second live event on September 30th in the Pleasant Hill Community Room at 7 p.m. CCTV will also be broadcasting candidate interviews. So consult your favorite sources, review the voter pamphlet, and be an informed voter. Thank you.
Trustee Ochoa, do you have a report this evening?
Yes. We held a community resource fair last Thursday that was a success, bringing together educators, families, and local organizers to connect and share resources. The event was at Olympic High School and gave the community access to important services, include healthcare, food support, and childcare. Thanks to partners like Mount Crisis Center and Contra Costa Health, 25 school-aged students received required school vaccines that evening. Teachers that held a chance to talk with families and strengthen relationships. The fair also strengthened connections between the school and the larger district community. There was a competition between staff to see who can do the best display, and me and a few other students were the judges. It was a great event, and we are proud how successful it was.
Excellent. That's good to hear.
That sounds amazing. Who won?
I'm not sure yet.
Lead report back.
Thank you.
That's a good way to make them work hard on what they were presenting there. I love it. Okay. Let's see. I did get to go to DLAC and PAC meetings as well. And I just want to say props to all who run both those meetings. There was a lot of parent participation and interaction in both meetings. Particularly at the PAC meeting, I heard so many people talk about how wonderful this year their principals are of their schools. So principals, you're doing some amazing things, and your parents are seeing it and they're talking about it. It's pretty exciting. So thank you. Let's see, what else? At the state level, with my day job, a few things that relate to this as well. One is Governor Newsom coming out with his proclamation about and bill for cell phone restrictions in schools. And I just want to recognize Dr. Clark for your leadership in this area, because you look at what's happening at the state level. Governor Newsom is realizing that this is an issue that we do need to address statewide in California. But one of the things that the bill says too is that not only do school districts need to put into place a policy to restrict cell phones in schools by 2026, but they also need to really involve the community in designing what that looks like. And to me, our school district is a model of that. The way that Olympic High School really, this came from the ground up. It was community involved, students and teachers and families working together to create the kind of environment that they want to see on campus. And all of us have been learning from that. And to see two more of our schools then take that on, I think that's just a model of how it should be. And I appreciate your leadership on that and how you've been explaining it not only to the media, but even at the PAC or the DLAC meetings too, about how it's not a punishment, right? It's creating the environment that we all want to see, where we can interact as humans with each other on these school campuses. Another bill that was signed was AB 2021 to really tighten the tobacco sales to minors, strengthening that and increasing the penalties for it. So I appreciate our state leadership on that, trying to protect our students. We really, really need that. Fun stuff. I did get to go to Battle of the Bands at Concord High on Saturday, and it was really fantastic. Concord always does such an incredible job leading and organizing that for not only bands from our school district, but from the whole region. It's just a fantastic, really uplifting event. And fun to see bands, whether they're large or small, they're out there, they're participating and they're being cheered on by each other. And lastly, I just wanted to say thank you, Dr. Clark, for really intentionally providing an orientation to our candidates for school board to make sure that they understand how the school district works and how they will be involved when they whichever one wins and becomes a member of our school board, that even as they're out there campaigning, that they have a better understanding of really what that entails. So thank you.
At the flashback to 2020. I was going to remark on something that you said, and now I just forgot. That's so unfortunate. No. Whatever. It was that important. Mine is brief. Last month I mentioned I was going to the Education Equity Conference put on by Education Trust West at Trust West. And I was there yesterday, and I just want to share one message from Nicole Hannah-Jones. It's Banned Books Week. That's what I was going to say. Because, I mean, yes, it is Banned Books Week. And first she started off for apologizing, but not, because she feels like her publication of 1619 is what kicked off this moment that we're in. And she's not sorry, but sorry. That then she specifically talked about school boards and the position that has put many school boards in, luckily not ours. But the one message that really resonated with me, and that upon reflection, I feel like we are doing a good job of going against what is this norm as she defined it. But we obviously have so much work to do. She said that, so when white children are struggling, we figure out what's wrong with the system. But when Black and Latino children struggle, we look to what's wrong with the children, what's wrong with the family, what's wrong with the neighborhood. We clear hurdles for white children, but not for Black and brown children. And then we blame them when they can't get over those hurdles. And so it was just a really eloquent way to describe our education system in these whole United States. This is not Mount Diablo Unified School District solely, or any district solely. That's our education, that's our society. And I know that through all of our efforts, we're trying to do things differently and not we're trying to change our system and not our children. Because as I've pointed out many times, when Dr. Clark presents data that's always the same, and it's the same as the data across the country, that it cannot be that Black children are not smart, like for generations, forever. Like that is not true. We know that's not true. And that it's the system that stinks, and it's the system that needs to change. So those are the wise words I bring back to you. It's not the only thing I went to. That was the most meaningful and best that I can summarize here. But if you want to hear about the TK discussion, I'd love to tell you all some other time.
Interesting. I'll be very brief because I went to some of the meetings as some of my colleagues here, but I'll just share that at the CAC meeting, I also really enjoyed the presentation on accommodations and modifications. And especially what I liked about that is there was so much engagement from the group and just really excellent questions, which are always such an important way of participating. And just the turnout in that group continues to be really impressive this year. So I just appreciate everyone making it to those meetings. They're really, really important and informative. And so, I just hope that continues. And then the highlight for me of the PAC meeting last night was just hearing hearing such a comprehensive report from Dr. Clark on the state of the district, and then also really getting some really positive feedback on how the beginning of the year is off to a really good start at some sites. Just hearing about different social events available to students, hearing about, getting such a warm welcome from so many of our administrators, which I know was already mentioned, but of course we have the Week of the School Administrator coming up. So I think we can just really appreciate our administrators for creating that kind of environment for our students and families. And that's all I have to share this evening.
Well, thank you all. I have just a brief few comments. First of all, just want to reflect on the last couple of weeks. We just have so much going on in our district, and I'm always happy to hear about the parent meetings that we have and the efforts that we make to really involve parents into their students' education. And so I really want to recognize that. I want to thank Linda Ortega, Medea president. We had a long meeting on Monday, just really establishing those those lines of communication, which are really important. I think that good dialogue creates solutions that ultimately will benefit our students. I appreciate the 3 primary teachers coming tonight and sharing their experience. I know that our curriculum and instruction team work extremely hard to provide trainings, to make sure that we're providing the latest and greatest resources to our teachers so that our students get the very best. And at times that can be difficult, right? We understand fully that we can't do everything, but as our data is getting ready to become public very soon, we're going to see that that we have less than half of our students within our district are reading at or above grade level. And we're not just going to sit around and just accept that. We are going to do all we can to look inward, not to blame our students or to blame our families or to make excuses, but really to look inward and find ways that we can improve our practices, continue to do what is working, not do what is not working. And in order to do that, we do need to have collaborative, positive conversations, which I see the leadership under Ms. Ortega really opening that up. So I really appreciate that. And I also just want to give kudos to our administrators who have a great deal on their plate. Number one, keeping their campuses safe and keeping everyone who accesses our campus to keep them safe, but then also to establish those relationships with the adults on campus who are there to support young people and ultimately setting systems and an environment where students can be successful. I know that we are finishing up conferences, and so I hope that having conferences a little early this year can help establish goals and really establish that relationship with parents and the teachers, so that they get to know who their student's teacher is. They get to hear just after the first 6 weeks, 8 weeks or so how students are doing, to get some initial data assessments that we've done on students, and then just to be able to really set the tone for the remainder of the school year. We're going to be going on break after next week, and this will be the first time in Mount Diablo that we have an October break, and I will be interested to hear how that goes and how our families either appreciate that time for a vacation or how there were some challenges there. And we know whenever something rolls out new, you're going to have some people that are all for it, and you're going to have some people who are a little skeptical about it. But our daycare partners are ready to serve students during the break, and so hopefully everyone signed up for that who needs that coverage. But it'll be a well-needed break for those who get the time off. So some of us don't. And then lastly, I just also want to echo just Trustee Counts, our opportunity to work with 2 of our potential candidates for school board. It is a governance team, and just as we were going over just very briefly all that we offer in the district, it is amazing the programs, the personnel, the investments that we make in our students, in our staffs, in our facilities, and how we support learning throughout the district. So it was just it's always eye-opening, and we can only like scratch the surface, but really when you really dig down, you know, I want to give kudos to this board for their continued support for the learning environments for our students. So for that, I'll conclude my presentation. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Clark. So we move to the consent agenda. So are there any items anyone would like to pull to discuss? And if not, we can take a motion.
I move that we approve the items listed under the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by trustee Nzewi and a second by trustee Cound. Trustee Ochoa, how do you vote?
Yes.
That motion passes 5-0 with concurrence from our student board member. Okay, so we move to our business action items. Okay, so we're going to open our public hearing.
I have a resolution for that.
You do? Okay, great.
Yes.
Should I open
Well,
opening the public hearing?
all right, so whereas the Mount Diablo Unified, whereas the governing board of the Mount Diablo Unified School District, in order to comply with the requirements of Education Code 60119, held a public hearing on September 25th, 2024, which is on or before the 8th week of school and which did not take place during or immediately following school hours. And therefore be it resolved for the 2024-25 school year, the Mount Diablo Unified School District has sufficient standards-aligned textbooks and other instructional materials that are consistent with the cycles and content of the curriculum frameworks were provided to each student, including our English learners. Be it further resolved that the superintendent or designee on behalf of the board shall submit a copy of this resolution to the county superintendent of schools within 3 business days of this hearing.
We don't have any public comment on this item. Okay.
Do we move it during the hearing or after the hearing? Yeah.
So we'll go ahead and close the hearing. Thank you for the reminder.
So it appears that we have sufficient textbooks and instructional materials, seeing that we have not been hearing from anyone saying that we're not. I really appreciate that this is something that we do, though, and especially the piece that talks about science lab equipment, because I think that is something we do, we do need to make sure we are providing. So I appreciate that. Do we need a motion for the resolution? All right. I move to adopt Resolution 2425-6, sufficiency of textbooks and instructional materials.
I'll second that.
Motion by trustee Cowan and a second by trustee Mason. Trustee Ochoa, how do you vote?
Yes.
The motion passes 5-0 with concurrence from our student board member. So we move to 17.2, review and potential approval of updates to board policy and administrative regulation 5116.1, inter-district open enrollment. Do we have a couple people?
We're going to do a presentation here, and I just, I want to thank Dr. Stuckey Smith. She has been managing our open enrollment, our district transfers. I mean, you need a telephone book to weed through all of the, regulations, process, procedures, and things of that nature. And so what we've been working on this year, not only have, under her leadership, have we opened up an enrollment center, to, to help with enrolling, where the enrollment used to take place at 55 separate sites. And now all that has been condensed into one site. And as I said in the PAC last night, if you visited the enrollment center over the last couple of weeks of summer, you would have seen lines out the door. You would have seen, people with babies and kids and folks really coming in to set up school. But in an effort to just, again, to align our systems and our processes and procedures, we have pulled together a team of all interested parties to discuss our process. And so tonight we're going to hear from Dr. Stuckey Smith, and she is going to talk us through kind of just the minor changes that we're making to this policy so that we can make this, so we can actually be just more efficient, so that we can get students to where they need to be and get parents the information in a timely manner. So we have Dr. Stuckey Smith and we have Ms. Callbeck. They're kind of the dynamic duo right now in student services, but that also entails enrollment, transfers, and all other duties as assigned. So without any, thank you. Yes.
Good evening, Board President Erin McFerrin, trustees, our student trustee, my dear Crystal, Joa, our illustrious superintendent, and all those that stayed for this presentation. I thank you in advance. It's great pleasure to present to you our changes, our reason for our changes, not to just have a board policy given to you and not explain sort of the work we've done behind making the decision to make a change as it relates to the timing or the date in which we're doing our lottery and everything. So I have just a brief presentation, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it. With that said, as our superintendent always wants us to present on terms of our LCAP goals, as we focus on students, this particular change probably best reflects the families and LCAP Goal 3, families and community members will be informed and empowered as partners with MD USD to support student learning and improving student outcomes. And we're adding as it relates to the schools in which our students will be attending. You're familiar with her, so I'll move on. So we had a couple of goals in mind. First is to enhance student achievement by fostering collaboration amongst departments to align their responsibilities and initiatives. Another goal of ours is to ensure that all departments are aligned in their efforts to support student achievement. And this includes sharing best practices, resources, and data to identify areas of improvement and celebrate achievements. With that said, our last goal is to foster interdepartmental collaboration to support positive student outcomes. If you noticed in all of our goals, it reflects students, 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 and student success. So who are those departments that got together? Thank you, Dr. Clark, for having us get together and not work in silos, as I will share. But the departments that are collaborating right now as it relates to transfers and student achievement, starting with our business services, just in the management of the fiscal part or budgets or accounting or our basic money that's going to support the work that we do. In our Ed Services department, ensuring equal opportunities to every student by providing, and you can see with the structure and everything that our Ed Services department, we love working with them. It was a wonderful collaboration with our Human Resources department because they're actually recruiting and hiring highly qualified staff. And I'll show you again how that connects with us. Many do not know, but some do, is that our IT department, our information technology department, is where our ARIES database system is housed. So we have to work with them. in order for us to set up a system in which we are able to enroll students, grades with students, attendance, and all the other things that are connected with our students here in our district. And our special education department, as they work collaboratively with our families, with improving assessments for the needs of our children and provide implementation of special ed services as those students are enrolled in our schools. And then, of course, last but not least, but the best, student services, where we manage centralized enrollment, transfers, and healthcare services. I just put this, and you have a copy of our board policy 5116.1. So we'll go on in terms of that. So what we wanted to share is more of our existing board, well, what the existing board policy is, and you have that documentation as well. So I'll go to the next one. And what is our current intra-district transfer process? And then I'll go into what our change is. So our current process has been the October 15th through the November 15th for our online applications for currently just secondary schools. Then in December, we hold a kindergarten lottery for Monty Gardens and also Sequoia Elementary, where those students are then selected and then given the opportunity to enroll in this at that school prior to all others, because the enrollment there impacts other schools, because those students were pulling from other schools first to fill Sequoia and Monty Gardens. And then what we have is February 10th through March 10th, we have online applications for our kindergarten through fourth grade. And that's our current timeline there. So some of the things that have happened or concerns that were brought to us is that when we do our secondary lottery in the fall, we've been notifying in the spring. And one of the reasons is the delay in a response time is that many times we'll do the lottery, we'll hold the lottery, and we haven't done staffing yet. So as a result of that, we're holding until we do staffing before we can approve students in our secondary schools. And then our parent notifications are coming after our course card selections are needed for secondary. And also notifications are coming after open house or any type of planning for our secondary schools for the following year. So then our transfer students are not being received equally or receiving the same information ahead of time. And that's a change that we would like to do. We would also look at, and I told you about the Monty Gardens in terms of their lottery and notification. And then we were having our TK enrollment in the spring. And sometimes that process, because of centralized enrollment now, that process has been more streamlined in terms of enrolling our TK and K students. But we also have our elementary lottery in the spring, and sometimes the notification doesn't come to the parents until the summer. And sometimes it's after school has already ended, our school year has ended. So there's been that delay that we want to acknowledge, parents being notified after staffing decisions have been made here. And then sometimes the delay in staffing at our sites impact contractual ratios and contractual guidelines that we must follow in terms of class size or overage there. So we looked at some of the variables that we needed to take in consideration, not just isolating student services, but the decision of the transfers also is going to impact staffing. So a perfect example is that we could approve a transfer in student services. However, in HR, it's after the hiring process. Or it is, we've established a number of students at one particular school, but then when they've done the staffing ratio and the allocation for staffing at various schools could happen too late. So we want to align all of that now. So that's one of the reasons for the changes. And then the next slide gives suggested updates to the process. So we are taking a look at each month and what happens in student services, what happens with fiscal, what happens with HR, what is at services planning, and then what are our budgets look like there. And so what we have found a need to do is to move up the timeline as it relates to transfers for current kindergartners through 11th grade and have that process done in the fall, which would be October, November, have our lottery then in December and notification in December. In January, then as they're working with staffing, that we already know our allocation. We already know the number of students that are requesting the sites. We've already approved so that now HR can look at hiring as it relates to particular schools and how many kindergarten classes or how many teachers do we need at this particular level at this school based on enrollment and transfer. So that's what we kind of looked at as a team. It is saying that if we all put our calendars together and work together, we can ensure that our families will be notified, our families, especially secondary, will be able to get those course cards and fill out the course cards. And we can, like I said, do allocation for staffing and budget. And then in the spring, when we look at when you have to deal with March, whether it's March layoffs or March, you've already received that information of schools and transfers and forms like that. And hopefully we have happy families because they know ahead of time so they can plan accordingly there. So that's sort of the impetus for us wanting to move our timeline up and wanting to work again with all of those departments so that it's a smoother transition and it's not people waiting necessarily to June to find out if in fact they've been approved, especially at our secondary schools. Any questions with that? So I put up all the team members that have worked together. Dr. Clark, I have a special slide for you, but this is the team that actually worked together, and I'll just call out Nicole Nakasato, who is our enrollment coordinator, is the person that has all of the information now that we have centralized enrollment. So how many students are enrolled at each school, at each grade level. In that sense, that then again helps with our staffing, as well as our planning textbooks, as well as setting up our database system. So we're hoping this will lend to a smoother and seamless transition if all of our teams, our departments work together for the best interest of students. Any questions?
When I looked at the list, because you know the slippery slope we get on with what's first and second and third, and people get nervous about that. The only change seemed to be that we're inserting the Sequoia Monty Gardens in that ranking, correct? So you've got the ones that go first and then second, and so we're
no. We are only recommending a change in timeline.
Mm-hmm.
We're not recommending a change in priority. Okay. We're not recommending any of that change. It's taking the timeline. The change in terms, I'll just say with Sequoia and Monty Gardens, is that the kindergarten lottery will be a part of the fall where families can apply. And the reason for that, again, because of those two schools, they're district-wide, and we pull students from all over our district. That's why we're going to move forward there, but no priority change.
Good.
Any other questions? So, all right. Right.
I really don't have a question. I just want to compliment Dr. Clark and all of you who met to develop this and ensure the coordination between all the departments. And I think the information explains itself, because parents have always asked, why do we do this in the fall? Why can't we wait until March or April to do the transfer process? And here it's clearly laid out that families need the opportunity to look at course cards, to register their student, to have their students be on campus for the back to school night, or anyway, it's not back to school, it's
Open
the
house.
Open house. All of those factors that help support the families and the student. I'm hoping that the change will be beneficial to everyone like we anticipate, and I'm very pleased with the change. Thank you.
Thank you.
I also want to say thank you to the whole team and to Dr. Clark for this, because it really is an example to me of student-centered systems planning, systems change, right? Because we don't want to just fix it for one kid. We want to figure out how can we transform the whole system to work better for all kids. And I've experienced this from a parent perspective. I did have a child transfer to a different high school. And so, yeah, the timelines did not match up, and they were not invited to the open house of the new school, even though they knew that there was room at that school. And anyway, I think so many parents have been through this. So this will really improve a lot. I think the one thing that that it will require is really informing parents about the change, because it is a whole year ahead, right? Of like when you need to think about, you know, if my child is thinking about going to a different high school, I need to have figured that out really by the end of 7th grade, right? So that by fall of 8th grade, I'm already filling out the paperwork. So don't start thinking about it towards the end of 8th grade, right? And that was already the case for secondary anyway. So that timeline is the same as far as secondary, but it's new for elementary. But I think the more that we get the word out to families about what their choices are, and then now this streamlined process is going to be great. And the improvements of going online as well, making it smoother for everyone involved. So thank you for all of your efforts.
Thank you.
So we're looking for a,
So we need a motion.
Okay.
With
Move
that,
to approve the update to the BP and AR 5116.1 interdistrict open enrollment as presented.
second.
Motion by trustee Mason and a second by trustee Count. Trustee Ochoa, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, the motion passes 5-0 with concurrence from our student board. Okay. Okay, thank you. All right, so we move to 17.3, review and potential approval of changes to board policies and administrative regulations for California School Board Association CSBA recommendations, March 2024 quarterly update. And we've been kind of working our way through obtaining some of our policies. This is just an information item this evening. So if you have any questions, feedback.
no, we need that approved.
I think, so I know this is just information, but there was still a typo that it's supposed to say designee, but it says designer. I don't think that typo's fixed, at least on what we're seeing on the website, on the attachment.
They can fix typographical errors even if you approve.
This one's just informational, so it's for next time anyway, but just wanted to point that out.
17.
Okay. We can move to 17.4, review and potential approval of changes to board policies and administrative regulations per California School Board Association CSBA recommendations, June 2024, quarterly updates. This is an information action item, so these are coming back.
Ready for motion?
Ready for motion, yeah.
Okay, I move that the board approve changes to board policy 420.41, 1113, 1260, 2121, AR 1113, and exhibit 421.41 as presented.
Second.
Motion by trustee Mayo and a second by trustee Nzewi. Trustee Ochoa, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay, that motion passes 5-0 with concurrence from our student board member.
I just wanted to point out Exhibit 5145.6 is all of the required parent guardian notifications. Thank you to all who need to track all the state laws around that. There's 16 pages of required notifications to go out. They're all very important, I understand, but it is a lot to keep track of.
Changes every year. Seems like.
Okay, so we move to 17.5, review and potential approval of changes to board policies and administrative regulations per California School Board Association, CSBA recommendations, July 2024, special update.
Yeah, and I just want to highlight this one because these are all of our Title IX policies, and so they're I want you to just pay extra close attention to that. I know you guys always do. Unfortunately, with us not having a board meeting for a few weeks, I don't know if Ms. Avila will be able to move forward, but I think she will. No, I'm joking. But we you know, this is something that we wanted to bring forward earlier, but we had to, you know, we obviously had to wait for CSBA and then also do some adjusting as well, making sure that these, you know, these regulations really fit the needs that we have in this district. And want to thank, you know, our attorney for working on that and the team for looking at this. And so we will be bringing this back at our first meeting. It'll be right there at the top of the list because this is really important and we want to be in compliance with this.
Thank you for being so on top of that. I know that it's a lot of work, but it's really, really important. Just one thing on policy 0410, just the copy that was attached is cut off slightly on one side. So when we bring it back, just try to have a full view of that one would be appreciated. Thanks.
Okay, so we move to 17.6, review updates, administrative regulation AR 5142, safety and board bylaw 9322, agenda meeting materials. And so I know there have been kind of some small changes that have been made to this one to align with our current practices. And this is an information or action item.
I think that I'm ready to take action on this one. It's the only two changes were to align with the teacher contract in terms of they need to have their doors open before class 15 minutes as opposed to 30 minutes. And then the other change was just the when someone submits a request for an agenda on the board, for it to be submitted 2 weeks ahead of time, which I think is reasonable, especially given that we plan so carefully to make sure that these meetings are smoothly run. So if there are no questions on those, I will move to approve these changes to AR 5142, safety, and board bylaw 9322 as presented.
Second.
Motion by trustee Count and a second by trustee Mayo. Trustee Ochoa, how do you vote?
Yes.
That motion passes 5-0 with concurrence from our student board member. So we will, we do have some items that we are going to carry over into a second closed session. And so those items include, There, okay, great, there they are. And they, sorry, just finding them here. Okay, so 19.2 is public employee performance evaluation, superintendent pursuant to government code 54957. And then 19.3 liability claims, government code 54956.95, name of claimant Roxanne Molina, name of agency against which the claim is made, Mount Diablo Unified School District. We will adjourn to closed session.